In this episode, we discuss this week's recap and highlights.
Gotcha, bitch! No way!
Shop talk.
Also, Friday through Saturday was spent respecing my Slogan GT. My original spec was based on the AMG GTR model. Now, this spec is based on the AMG GT63 Coupe.
How to ride a motorcycle like a pro.
Okay. Alright, so we're currently on the highway. We're at cruising speed, or what I consider cruising speed. My first tip on riding a motorcycle like a pro is to tuck in on the straights. So, what do I mean by that? Literally, you're gonna sit back, tuck in your body, keep your chin down towards the gas tank, and stay in this position. With this position, you'll have better aerodynamics and a much higher top speed.
And this week's discount worth mentioning.
Next is the Common S2, which will also receive 30% off this week. The Common S2 has a full price of $1,878,000. With a 30% off, you can pick one up for $1,314,600 or a trade price of $985,950. Hello, one and all, and welcome to the Commodity Podcast, your weekly podcast for car, motorcycle, and lifestyle enthusiasts alike. I'm your host, Gunter from Commodity Los Santos, the #1 destination for automotive tuning and customization. Now you can watch us each week. Enjoy this episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Commodity Podcast. Today, we're talking about what happened in Los Santos this week and much more. Last episode, we introduced a new segment to the podcast called Bozo of the Week. The first clip from that segment showed what I thought was God mode players. Apparently, there's a bug that makes the Corvette D5 undestroyable. This explains why I was not able to get a fair fight in that video. Hopefully, by the time you're watching this podcast episode, that bug will be fixed. For this week's segment, the first clip is from last Tuesday, where a motorcycle crew full of aggressive individuals was trying to defend an area. I noticed they had split up, with some guys staying back to protect the area while others went around Los Santos picking on other people. So, I decided to mess around with them for a bit.
Oh my
Shoot. Okay, prepare to go ghost.
The next clip happened while I was returning to the auto shop. But before this clip, this individual was fighting with someone else after leaving the shop to deliver a customer's car. Keep in mind, this is not something that I normally do. It is more convenient to have your shop staff handle deliveries. However, this was a Fister, which is a car that I truly love, and it was modified by yours truly. In the process of trying to deliver the car, this guy decided to shoot at my client's car. So instead of stopping, I delivered the vehicle and circled back to deal with him.
Gotcha, bitch!
In other news, this week has been very successful business-wise. For our nightclub, we managed to maintain a high club popularity all week. For bunker, we managed to pull off 2 solo bunker sales. For salvage yard, we strategically planned, executed, and acquired 2 slogan GTs. For tow truck services, this week we only did 2 tow truck service requests, both which were short and ran smoothly. And finally, auto shop exports this week was smooth. However, we were only able to find 2 vehicles for the whole week. This week in Shop Talk, the LG Retro Custom received a new set of tires. I had a thought of what would happen if I put drift tires on my LG Retro Custom, which is primarily based and spec'd on a R32 Skyline GTR. The results? She slide, boys. Fun aside, handling is affected in a major way. Basically, at high speeds, the chances of you losing control of the car is 10 times higher. This is a vehicle I would normally use for long distance traveling, so I'm not sure how long I'm going to keep these tires on, but for now, I do enjoy this setup. While waiting for my drift tires to get installed, I test drove the Pegasus Torero, and I was this close to pulling the plug and making a purchase. I have so much to say, but to keep things simple, sometimes when you no longer have access to something, you realize what you missed. Currently, I'm in a state of being frugal at the moment, so I figured purchasing a new car at this point was not a smart move. So I end up hopping back in the Skyline and heading to Commodity to park the car. Also, Friday through Saturday was spent respecing my Slogan GT. My original spec was based on the AMG GTR model. Now, this spec is based on the AMG GT63 Coupe. This has been my daily for this weekend, and I might add it to my current lineup of daily driven vehicles, which is currently my Cypher CS, which is spec as a BMW M4, my Comet S2 convertible, which is spec as a Carrera S convertible, and now this, the Slogan GT, which is spec as a AMG GT63. If you clicked on this video, then chances are you're either thinking of purchasing a new motorcycle love motorcycle content, or you're an intermediate rider and maybe you'll learn something new from this video. Before we dive into motorcycle control and riding basics, let's talk about how I discovered my love for these machines. Because of my dad, I've always been on two wheels for as long as I can remember. At the age of 5, I was one of those kids who would put a bottle between the bicycle tire and the frame of the bike, which would sound similar to a dirt bike. Fast forward to the age of 16, and I got my first dirt bike. And with that dirt bike, I explored everything from single track trails to being a menace in the street with my friends. After graduating college, my dad purchased not one, but two 1000cc sport bikes, one for him and one for me. That was the Batty 08, and I still have that bike till this day, along with a wide collection of motorcycle, dirt bike, and ATVs. By no means I'm no Valentino Rossi or Marc Marquez, but I do have years of experience and I do find this topic interesting. So, with that bit of information, let's talk controls and riding basics.
Alright, we have this beauty right here. This is our tester for the day. Excuse me for the hard breathing. I'm trying to record through a helmet right now. This right here is my Batty 801, which is based on the Ducati 1098. This is hands down one of my favorite motorcycles to ride, and also has the most mileage out of all my other motorcycles. Now, let's go over controls, starting on the left. On the left, we have a clutch, your left hand grip, and your high and low beam. On the bottom left of the motorcycle, you have your shifter and your foot peg. Back to the top, we have your instrument cluster, which shows your speedometer and your tachometer. And in center, you have your ignition switch. Moving on to the right, we have your throttle and your front brakes. Next to your throttle, I should say, is your engine cutoff switch and indicator. And while I'm giving you guys this information, I need you to understand that different bikes, these controls are in different places. But generally, all the controls are the same. Now, finally, at the bottom right side of the bike, we have your right foot peg and your rear brakes. Now that we have a better understanding of general controls of this particular bike, we can move on to our tips on how to ride a motorcycle like a pro. Okay, alright, so we're currently on the highway. We're at cruising speed, or what I consider cruising speed. My first tip on riding a motorcycle like a pro is to tuck in on the straights. So, what do I mean by that? Literally, you're gonna sit back, tuck in your body, keep your chin down towards the gas tank, and stay in this position. With this position, you'll have better aerodynamics and a much higher top speed. Tip number 2, braking techniques. Braking seems simple, but there's a technique to proper braking. Here's the scenario. You're on a straight road and you're tucked in at 100 miles per hour. You're approaching a turn, or maybe you need to slow down to exit off the highway. The next thing you should be thinking about is where is my braking point? As the bike approaches this point, you'll begin to slow down. First, by bringing your body up from the tuck position, then applying 50% brake pressure, gradually trailing off the brakes as you enter the turn. Another tip for braking is to never brake hard while in the middle of a turn. Doing this can cause your bike or your front, doing this can cause the front of your tire to lose grip and for you to possibly crash. Tip 3, opening the throttle. Opening the throttle, or better yet, how to properly open the throttle. Now, when on a straight, the proper way to open your throttle is by rolling on the throttle smoothly. You do this by applying pressure to the throttle smoothly. Okay? Smoothly is key here. Like this. Also, something to note, this is the same way you slow down. by gradually rolling off the throttle and releasing throttle pressure smoothly. If you do this correctly, you should hear your bike downshifting. By letting the bike downshift, the bike will slow down on its own. Sometimes, you won't even have to brake. Just time the throttle roll off perfectly. Our last tip, and the most important tip, is to look where you want the bike to go. I notice most riders do not look where they want to go, which leads to staring at something for too long while you're still moving. This is called target fixation. Try your best to avoid this. So, what do I mean by looking where you want to go? Here's another scenario. You're approaching two vehicles and you want to get past them. You see an opening between the two vehicles. Once you identify that opening, your eyes should then look towards where you want to go next.
Rockstar has released new discounts for this week. Not all of them is worth mentioning, but here's the ones I think you should know. The first worth mentioning is the Amaggio. The Amaggio has a full price of $2,845,000. With this 30% off, you can pick up one for $1,991,500. Next is the Common S2, which will also receive 30% off this week. The Common S2 has a full price of $1,878,000. With a 30% off, you can pick one up for $1,314,600, or a trade price of $985,950. Next, we have the Dominator GT, which will receive 30% off this week. The Dominator GT has a full price of $2,195,000. With 30% off, you can pick one up now for $1,536,500. Continuing our list, we have the Russo, which is actually one of my favorite cars, although I do not talk about it too much. The Russo will also receive 30% off this week. The Russo has a full price of $1,925,000. With the 30% off, you can pick one up for $1,347,500. Moving on our discount list, we have the Niobe, which will also receive 30% off this week. The Niobe has a full price of $1,880,000. With the 30% off, you can pick one up for $1,316,500. Next is the Tauros, which will receive 30% off this week. The Tauros has a full price of $498,000. With 30% off, you can pick one up for $348,600. I would recommend picking up this vehicle. It is based on a 2018 Lamborghini Urus and is a quick truck overall. We'll probably pick one up, inspect it for a bill, and maybe show it in a future episode. Last on our list of discounts is the Baller STD, which also receives 30% off. The Baller STD has a full price of $1,715,000. With the 30% off this week, you can pick up one for $1,200,500. This is also a truck I would also recommend you pick up this week. Quick tip: if you're lucky enough to win a vehicle discount from the casino, I would apply that discount on top of the 30% off discount this week to get any one of these two recommended vehicles at a lower rate. So anyway guys, there you have it. That's the end for this episode. Let me know what are your thoughts on my tips on how to ride like a pro. Let me know if you guys plan on buying anything this week in the comments below. Leave a like if you like the video or a dislike if you don't. And consider subscribing if you're new to the channel. Until next time, Gunter.